In 2004, Rockstar Games released one of the greatest achievements in the open world genre with GTA San Andreas. San Andreas, being built upon the foundation laid by its predecessors, both Vice City and GTA 3, expanded the horizons for what could be possible in open world titles by having a fully believable world spanning across an entire state, complete with 3 cities and their surrounding countrysides, all while having a compelling story. So in this video, I want to cover a myriad of facts and useless information, as well as some cut content sprinkled about just to spice things up in no particular order that I found after recently replaying the game to 100%. So without further ado, let's jump into some useless facts for what I think is one of the best open world games of all time, GTA San Andreas. One of the weapons that's available in-game is the camera. It's typically given throughout the story for certain missions or for the collectible hunt in San Fierro. But if you recruit a homie and have the camera equipped and stand near them, a prompt will come up allowing you to hand the camera to them, thus allowing you to take pictures of CJ. This is nice if you want to get some screenshots of CJ standing in front of different landmarks, or just want to show off your achievements throughout the course of the game. This is of course a feature that was later built upon in later GTAs with the built-in camera on your character's cell phones. San Fierro, being based off of San Francisco, is a city full of steep streets just like its real-world counterpart. And speaking of streets, San Andreas played with the idea of having certain streets in the game before GTA 4 and 5 ever implemented having every single street in the game be named. And one of these iconic streets in San Andreas is not only located in San Fierro, but based off of the famous Lombard Street located in the city it's based off of. Most players have come across this street before, most likely due to buying the Carlton Heights property that's housed on it. But what most players don't know is the street actually has a name. At the lower end of the street, you can actually see a sign posted that says Windy, 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 Windy Street. The name definitely fits the bill, but I don't think anyone's ever driven up or down this thing the right way.
I hate gravity!
GTA San Andreas' story is one of the most memorable across the entire series. It's a story of hardships across CJ's life as he roams across the state of San Andreas to reunite his family after the loss of his mom. But did you know there was a prequel to the game's story itself? With the release of GTA San Andreas, there was also a special edition for the original PS2 version. With the second disc that came with the special edition, it included the introduction prologue, which is about a short 20-minute video leading up to the events of the mainline story. It jumps around between many different notable characters and gives a bit of backstory for what exactly all goes down in the game.
Yeah, it's cool. Now the way I see it is that we don't have a choice. Ain't nothing to feel bad about. You put a gun to a brother's head, brother's gonna do what he's told, no matter if he's a fool or a wise man. You don't want a bullet in the brain, but if you can make it work and make some Benjamins while you at it, then that's cool.
It's gonna take more than a bullet in the head to stop me.
I don't doubt that, homie.
Not many average San Andreas players have seen this introduction video before, and even this was a surprise for me after playing this game for so long. If you want to check out the introduction prologue, I'll leave a link down in the description since it's completely up on YouTube. San Andreas houses all different forms of transportation found throughout the world. Cars, planes, boats, helicopters, you name it. And one of the new additions was the BMX bike, even with its own cycling skill attached to it, which can be upgraded over time. But did you know skateboarding was almost implemented into the game as well? Found in various strings of the game's code, it's shown that there was a skateboard weapon that could be found in the game's files. It would have acted not only as a weapon, but could also be used in a form of transportation to get around each city. It would have been introduced to us after the raid on Mad Dog's mansion, and we could pick it up off of some pedestrians afterwards. It was ultimately cut due to not being properly polished enough. However, there is a mod for the PC version of the original game and the definitive edition, which allows for skateboarding to be brought back into the game. It's not perfect by any means, but it does feel almost like a natural inclusion. Really curious as to why they left this one out, especially since skateboarding was so popular back in the 90s. Throughout the course of the game, CJ can take on side diversions to make a little bit of extra cash outside of the missions that he's given throughout the course of the story. In each of the 3 mainline cities resides various opposing gangs that claim these streets as their own. If CJ were to take on a side mission like taxi, vigilante, firefighting, and so forth, and they happen to do their job in gang territory, any nearby gang members will proceed to harass CJ while he's in the car, thus making your job a little bit harder, like say for example if you're trying to pick up somebody from their next fare. Sometimes developing a game world requires certain assets to bring things together. And in a lot of early 2000s games with open worlds, various building models would be overlaid with textures that were sometimes taken of real buildings and locations. Even Rockstar is known for sometimes overlaying a picture on a building, and usually with these textures, the developer will edit them to include in-game advertising and remove any form of real-world trademarks. But unfortunately, they forgot to scrub a few trademark characters out. On a particular street in Los Santos, in East Los Santos to be exact, you can find a toy store with a few familiar characters on it. The texture for the store includes Ash, Pikachu, and Squirtle from Pokemon, and Mickey and Minnie from Disney. Now, I'm sure Rockstar didn't intend for these family-friendly characters to make it into the game, but it is hilarious to see these characters just randomly show up in GTA. With the implementation of roleplay mechanics to the game, like hunger, weight management, sex appeal, and so forth, it was clear Rockstar was experimenting with making GTA San Andreas more of an integrated experience than its predecessors. But one feature that was cut at some point during development would have almost made the game have a Sims-like component. There was a cut furniture buying feature which would allow CJ to buy furniture from various different stores around the map, all housing many different options for us to customize our homes with. Since we have so many homes across the state that we can buy, 34 to be exact, it would have been nice to add a bit of extra flair to the world than just adding more style to CJ. There's a really detailed breakdown of this cut feature by VadimM and Swegta, plus there's a mod that recently dropped within the past year that brings this feature back into the game that I'll leave down there as well. San Andreas is housed to many different landmarks darted across the state, from renditions of real-life locations to even new ones introduced by this game that have become iconic to this day. But there's one location that is overlooked by many casual players of this beloved game. Located out in the desolate countryside of Palomino Creek, there's a place where we can wash away all of our sins in the comfort of the front seat of our ride, at the Drive-Thru Confessions. Funnily enough, there's a small confessional booth and a driveway going up to it, implying that people can receive services from their confessional by just driving up alongside it. However, we as CJ won't be able to use this. The church is also inaccessible and plays no role in the story whatsoever, but the fact that it's here is just mind-boggling, and not a lot of players will even know of its existence because of it being off the beaten path. And plus this sign is like super creepy. Rockstar Games is not shy of references to other titles that they've made in their own games, especially when they take place within the same universe. Throughout the state, you can find various maps and even surfboards referencing Vice City, and at one point in the story, we revisit a small section of Liberty City as well. But Rockstar made sure to reference another city that's tied to another franchise of their own, Manhunt. Throughout the state, we can find multiple gas tanks labeled Carcer Gas, which presumably had been manufactured in Carcer City. There's also graffiti matching a border patrol soldier from Manhunt. There's also some blueprints of different levels, a picture of the protagonist from the first Manhunt, and there's even a few mentions from random pedestrians out in the wild of their time spent in Carcer City as well.
I studied in Carcer City.
There are many myths and conspiracies that are dotted around the state of San Andreas. Whether there are whispers of a Bigfoot residing in the countryside of Whetstone, sightings of mysterious cars moving through the hills, or even the occasional UFO sightings noted by the communities around the state. But one such conspiracy of a secret government base resting right under our noses is no mere myth. Later in the story of San Andreas, our conspiracy theorist, pot smoking buddy, The Truth, tells us of a secret government black project being developed in an underground government research facility. That facility being Area 69, a clear nod to the famous Area 51 in Nevada. The mission has CJ either sneak or break into a facility to steal a jetpack, located at the heart of the complex. With the mission having tons of enemies to take care of, it can be easy to miss a couple of smaller details that are available in this location. First is a map room with various different terminals, all surrounding a 3D map of the entire state. Even for the limitations of the time, it's pretty sweet seeing all the bumps and grooves of the mountains that are dotted throughout the countryside. And second is a clear nod to the Half-Life series. Sitting inside one of the inaccessible labs, we can look through a window to see a familiar crowbar sitting on a table. Looks like Dr. Freeman was missing in action for these unforeseen consequences.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
After replaying this game and using the first-person mod, I felt like some sections of the complex felt like the Black Mesa research labs, so seeing this nod was an awesome touch for that experience, especially since I've always been a pretty big Half-Life fan. With the state of San Andreas being based off of California and the surrounding areas, it's almost perfect that the state ended up with its name, San Andreas. Its name being based off the San Andreas fault line located across the coast of California, this devastated San Francisco over 100 years ago. However, in San Fierro in-game, you can actually find this earthquake fault line just off the coast of the city. Under the depths of the water, if you go down to the ocean floor, you can see the ocean floor cracked, leaving steep drops in a jagged, narrow line that leads all the way up to the Ganton Bridge, meaning San Fierro may have had the same fate at one point like its real-life counterpart. And that's going to cover some of the small details and cut content that I found pretty interesting throughout my time with GTA San Andreas. I'm working on another video that's also going to talk about my experience with 100%ing the game, as I did that fairly recently last year, and it was one of the funnest gaming experiences that I've had in a long time. So if you're interested in more GTA content in the future, definitely leave a like and subscribe, so that way you can look forward to the next video. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one. Thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I will see you all in the next one.